Hi family, Dr. Hooten here at Hooten Family Healing Center in Dallas, Texas. We are open during this very strange sort of quarantine time of life that we're in. I would suggest you share this video with anybody that you love because I'm going to go over some common mistakes that people are making to try and avoid this virus and what you should be doing in order to keep your body really strong. Just as an example, you may know somebody like this, but we actually are alive and real people. I have adjusted 200 to 300 homeless people on a Sunday morning who don't have a way to bathe. You can smell the disease on their breath. God love them all. I'm only telling you that because while they were breathing all over me, I never wore gloves. I never got sick. Some of these people have diseases that have been gone from most of society for a long time. And that's important because if you look at two groups of people, and let's just take wherever this virus started, over in Asia somewhere, let's look at that city, okay? And however many thousands of people got sick from this virus, there were many tens of thousands who did not. However many people have died, sadly, from a virus of any kind, whether it's this one or a flu or pneumonia, however many people have died, there is a huge number of people who did not get it and who did not die. The biggest mistake I see people making, either in your own household, in your community, or in our country, sadly, is that we are focusing on the people that got sick and died and trying to maneuver around that, instead of looking at strong people and the stronger side of the population and trying to move everybody that way. A good example is, we see people wearing masks, and I love you if you're doing that, don't get me wrong, I'm not judging you. But focusing on avoiding the nightmare is different than focusing on building up your system. Now maybe you're trying to do both. That's why I'm doing this video. I want to make sure you're taking steps to actually build your body up and not just trying to avoid the bad stuff, because that's called symptom management, or trying to avoid pain, trying to avoid cancer by using the system to do it. You can't think symptomatically, you can't think medically and build health. It's not going to work. You have to actually take responsibility for your body, and there are rules. So one of the classic mistakes people make whenever there's whether it's the seasonal flu or this pandemic thing, is that they'll rush off and reach for NyQuil, Tylenol. They'll go to the doctor and they get steroids or something, a Z-Pack. So let's run through those four things real quick. Let's say you're taking an over-the-counter flu cold remedy medication, okay? NyQuil, right? All those things are intentionally stopping your immune system. The acetaminophen that's in Tylenol, that is designed to lower a fever, right? Or take away inflammation. Well, a thinking person is going to ask, how does it do that? So let's say that, I was adjusting those 300 homeless people and, 200 something people in here in the office every day, some days. And, I get people breathing on me. You can sometimes smell the sickness. How am I not getting sick? Well, it comes down to understanding and thinking through how your body is designed to work. So I will tell you, a couple of times in the last 20 years, I've had a fever, right? I would get home maybe at the end of the day on a Friday and I'd have a fever. And instantly I knew my body was fighting something. A fever is one of the tools your body uses to fight something. Your liver gets involved during the fever. It makes this substance called interferon, and your body goes into overdrive to beat down an offending bug, if you will, whether it's a virus or a bacteria. And that's just part of your normal immune system. It's like your army steps up and goes to town and starts pummeling the bad guys, just to use an analogy. So a fever is part of your army. If you take something to lower it, whether it's a NyQuil or a Tylenol, acetaminophen, you are stopping your army. That you heard me right. If a child is taking a Tylenol to lower a fever, you are stopping the kid's immune response. Now, you might lower the fever by killing part of the liver. That's why Tylenol is so toxic to the liver. You might lower the fever and the kid seems to feel better. But unfortunately, and guys, no judgment, I'm just telling you the facts. If you use Tylenol to lower a fever, you have put the person in a weaker situation because they have not figured out how to fight this thing, right? So if you feel like you're in an emergency situation, that's totally different. Like if the fever's been running so long and the kid is, or you're getting that malaise feeling or this, this whole look, you're getting dehydrated, that's when the big problems come in. And you need to take some aggressive action steps right then. But if you behave properly, and how many of you out there have had a flu in the past, you knew what you got, or you got a head cold or something, and you didn't run off to the doctor, you just stayed home and rested and stayed hydrated, and you came through it. That's what I did a couple of times over the last 20 years. When I was a kid, we started doing that, letting my body fight it out. Remember, I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm just telling you what the options are. Right? This is what I did. And today, because of letting my body beef itself up, and our team here is doing the same thing. They'll all tell you the same thing, where they used to get sick more often. Now they feel less symptomatic all the time. My family's the same way. My kid, symptomatic fairly regularly. She's 8 years old, but she's beefing up her system. Doesn't take any medication. My 8-year-old daughter has never taken a drug in her entire life. Not one Tylenol, not one shot. Now, I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you there are people like us that actually live. And when I talk to people that seem to be sick more often, or they're in denial about things, they think that people that are healthy actually don't exist, right? They think, oh, that's a fairy tale. That person's, just full of poop. And that's just not the case. We are out here. You just don't hear about us on the mainstream news because it's all sensationalistic news. I mean, people thrive on fear-mongering and dramatic stuff. I want to give you some power and a path out of that. So when you get feverish, or if a kid gets feverish, what I would do with my own kid, keep her thoroughly hydrated. That's not just water, it's actually minerals in her water. Minerals are a primary fuel for every cell in your body. So the way that you work, the way your immune cells work, the way your DNA works, minerals are a big player in that. Vitamin D, another big player. And we're sort of in this season before the springtime, so sun isn't, it's coming out today, thanks God. Sun is a great way to get vitamin D. I recommend that most people take at least 10,000 IUs per day. If you're a child, you don't need that much. So, so still take some every day, 1,000 or 2,000 IUs per day. That's just to beef up your immune system. That gives your immune system more fuel. Okay. And then thirdly, and certainly arguably the most important thing, is to keep your nervous system flowing. If your brain can't get to your body to recognize that there's an infection going on, there's no way you're going to fight it off. So your brain is the power supply to your immune cells, right? It's a power supply to your liver. It's what's responsible for causing the fever to go up. It's responsible for your heart beating, your blood circulation. That's why we are staying open during this pandemic. That's why the government is recognizing how vital it is that we stay open, that you keep your adjustments, because that is going to radically keep your body more powerful. Keep your adjusting schedule. We're taking measures here to keep the place more clean, obviously. And if you're worried about anything, if you get symptomatic and you don't want to expose other people, totally understand that. Come a little bit early. We'll adjust you before shift. And if you have an emergency, you can't drive somewhere, reach out to us and I'll come to you. It's Dr. Hooten signing off. Remember, stay strong. Don't live in fear. That is the opposite of what God made us to do. Don't live in fear, right? It says that all over the Bible. Live in love, have peace, take responsibility though. You can have all the faith in the world, but if you're not putting it into action, you know what that means. We love you guys. We'll talk to you next time.